Good afternoon, everyone. This is Deb, and I really appreciate you signing in. I know that everyone is so busy, and I also want to apologize for the confusion of the time change today. I did have an appointment earlier today, and it appears that the second invitation went out saying that it was at 9:30 when, as we now know, it's at 2 o'clock today. So again, my apologies for the confusion. I want to start with a little bit of clarification from some things we discussed last week on our webinar. And as far as the NPN certification for an agency or an agent, I still don't have a good answer on that. I can say that if you are an agent that works for an agency, that it's probably a good idea to have the agency head complete the training modules under the agency head's national producer number. I'm still waiting on clarification from some of our carrier partners as to whether or not they are going to require the agency itself to also have the training and have their NPN number registered. And unfortunately, all I can say is the jury is still out on that. If you are worried about it, then by all means go ahead and complete the training modules for the agency's NPN as well, but at this point, I don't know if that's required or not. Also, clarification on the 9.5% affordability test for an employer's offer of sponsorship for a group premium. Last week I said that the affordability factor, if the employee is charged more than 9.5% of his or her premium for the employee-only portion of the premium, then it would not meet the affordability factors, and that still is true. The 8% figure comes in if the cost, the total cost of the insurance of the spouses and dependents, or the cost of the employee's premium exceeds 8% of the household income. That has nothing to do with whether the spouse or dependent would then get a free ticket to go to the exchange and get the subsidy. What would happen is that if a premium above 8% is charged, 8% of the household income is charged to the employee, then it would exempt them from the individual mandate, the penalty for not having insurance if they waived off that insurance. So I know it's very confusing. Certainly it's very confusing. But if you have specific questions, just let me know. The individual mandate, the penalty is based on the modified adjusted gross income. And there were some questions as to whether the 1% is charged, how that would be charged for a single or family. If there is a husband and wife and they file as singles on their own, then the penalty for each of them would be assessed based on their single filing of their modified adjusted gross income. Of course, if they file as a married couple, then it would be the household modified adjusted gross income for their penalty. Again, I hope that makes sense, but if you have questions, let me know. So the next bullet point is portal issues and a workaround. Boy, I tell you, I thought that I would have a lot more information to share this week since we are 10 days into the opening of the healthcare.gov site, but I don't. I do have some additional information, but certainly not a resolution. I did have one agent partner go and register for one of his clients and actually go through the application process, and that was yesterday afternoon. they're still waiting for the verification email to go back to that insured saying you have been, your identity has been proven and you get X amount of subsidy. Go forth and look at the rates and conquer. So that process is going to probably delay the enrollment process even more. I will let you know next week how long that takes. But essentially, as it stands now, if you go to healthcare.gov, you have to create an account for your client. You will get an email from healthcare.gov. You'd have to click on that email to verify that it's you clicking on the email, and then you can complete the application process. The application, you'd have to enter all of your information, your household income, your household size. There are optional questions as to your race, your gender, and once that's completed, then you go into your out-of-wallet questions. So each client obviously is going to have a series of different questions to further identify them and verify that it's actually them making application. So it is a long process, and I'm not sure how user-friendly the system really is going to be ultimately, but that's the information I have now. As far as the workaround, I had really hoped to offer a paper application solution. And of course, submitting a paper application is one of the ways that HHS accepts applications. So I did talk to the people at the health insurance marketplace, and I have an address to send the applications. However, not being able to view the rates, the exact amount of subsidy, there's no way to verify the premium and the correct premium to send in. So that's a big bust there. The hardest thing about it is that I was told that if an application was sent, it would take 7 to 10 days from the time the application is received for it to be loaded into their system, and it would take an additional 30 days to process. So that really is boiling down to paper apps really have to be submitted no later than November 1st to secure a 1/1 effective date if paper application is the only way to submit. And I know that there is one general agency out there offering to take paper applications and then just load them in the system whenever the healthcare.gov system comes up. But I don't feel comfortable with that process because there's an awful lot of lawyers out there that would possibly say, hey, you took an app, your client thought that they would have insurance by 1/1, and even if the applications were sent in, maybe we can't secure coverage by 1/1. So there's some liability there. So I'm not advocating to take paper applications. That's entirely up to everyone. Hopefully when I have a solution, I will throw that out there for everyone. But at this point, if you want to take paper applications and submit them, let me know. I can give you the address. I would just say keep really good records. So that's unfortunately my workaround for now. Commissions. On a lighter note, commissions. We do have 2 carriers that have released commissions, one verbally and one officially. The verbal commission that we receive for agents is for Aetna Individual, and this is for, of course, the 5-county Philly area and Lehigh and Northampton County, inside and outside the exchange. A single is going to pay $20 per application per month for the first year. Parent-child is $30, husband-wife $40, and family is $50. And again, that's per application per month for the first year. If If they renew with Aetna, they would get exactly half. So a single renewing in the 13th month would get $10 per month per app. The next carrier that released commissions was Capital Blue Cross. And Capital Blue Cross is paying a percentage of premium. They are paying 6% of the premium, the entire premium, for the life of the policy. So it's a level commission, 6% for the life of the policy, which is pretty good news in my opinion. Independence Blue Cross has also issued commissions in the 5-county Philly area, and based on the product, the commissions are either 3.4% for year 1 of the premium, and their bronze and catastrophic plans are 1.7% of the premium. So that's all the commission information that I have at this point, and obviously I'll be sharing commissions when I get them. I was told that that Highmark's commissions should be released today, so hopefully I can get that information out to you as soon as I get it, and it'll be good news, hopefully. I did have some submitted questions. In fact, there was one agent partner that wanted to do a poll, and I'm going to need everyone's participation because if you see your little hand at the side of the screen, I want everyone to raise their hands if they have had success getting on to the healthcare.gov and actually completing an application. So by a show of hands, if you could just click your hand if you have gotten on to healthcare.gov and were able to complete the application process. Well, I don't see any hands. Okay. So that pretty much says it all, right? We have 60 people signed on and not one hand. Interesting. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. I also had another request from one of our agents that went into the live chat feature of healthcare.gov, and she sent a request saying that what she told the people in the live chat was that she would like them to request of their supervisors to take down the site until it's actually functioning because at this point it's not usable and it's just creating more confusion. So if you feel so inclined, go ahead and do that. If you don't, then obviously that's certainly your personal choice. But she did explain to the person that she's a health insurance professional, and she believes that those running the system should take the advice of the professionals who know how to work the business, and that they're the ones that should be helping people if they need it, and the system should be down at this point. So that's all I have for the program right now, and if you do have questions, you can either raise your hand or you can type them in the box. I do see I have some questions now, so I'll go ahead and start with the questions that have already been submitted. Good question from Ken. When are we going to be able to use the URL quoting portal for ACA products and rates? That's a really good question, Ken. So far, EBIX has all of the rates that were released in paper form. They're working to load those rates, but I don't suspect that those plans will be up and running and the system usable for 1/1 effective dates until at least mid-month. And I know we're at the 10th, but it's going to take at least another whole week. And keep in mind, too, that some carriers haven't released paper rates, so it's hard for them to load without paper rates. Another question, and just to note, I will certainly let everybody know what's going on when Health Connect and EBIX is fully up and running. I did want you to let you know that URL's web broker contract is moving forward as well, and as soon as that is up and running, I will let you know about that as well. Another question, if the agency head doesn't do the training modules, does that mean that the agent that works under that agency won't get paid? Ken, I believe that's exactly what it means. Just like Medicare Advantage, the agency head has to do the certification and the AHIP testing. So my feeling is that that is required, and I would urge you to do that. The question is, would the agency, such as URL, also need to go in and do other testing other than our agency head, Ken Clemens? And that's the question that's still outstanding. Question from Sean, what is our FFM ID? Is that the ID we created when we went through the training? That's exactly it. Your user ID for the FFM is the same user ID that you created to go into the Medicare Learning Network when you did your testing. Sunny says that she was told by healthcare.gov today that it takes about 3 days for them to review and send the verification email to the client. So at the time you complete the application process and submit it for verification to HIS or HHS and the health insurance marketplace, it will take approximately 3 days for that insured to receive verification back and go in and actually view the rates, view their subsidy, and make application. Not a great process. A question from Jeff. Have you heard that if a person sets up an account on the exchange just to shop around, that if they come to us for help after they're set up, there is no opportunity for them to add a broker since they already have an account? I've not heard that, Jeff. In fact, creating an account is different than going in and completing the application process. So there is a place at the next step after you do create an account to add an agent's information, your NPN number and your FFM number. So I've not heard that. If you've heard otherwise, Jeff, let me know. Cindy says, I used live chat as well. It was really useless. All they did was apologize. Yes, I've had the same experience, Cindy. Alex says, so patience is needed. No one seems to be getting anywhere. More delays. Yeah, no one seems to be getting anywhere. In fact, I think that's something that we all need to just take a step back and realize is that, you know, no one's really getting through, and you know, so the missed opportunity, you know, hopefully they'll still be there when it is up and running. The good news is they can't get any further than anyone else either. So hopefully that's some comfort. More delays? I don't know. I think this administration is going to hold fast to the fact that this portal is still working. It's just the amount of traffic that's causing all the issues, where I think all of us know that that's not the case. Joni says, I had sent this question prior to the meeting. Is anyone else having problems with their NPN being verified? Yes, on the portal.cms.gov site, yeah, there are still issues with that site as well, and they continue. I can't get in today either, and I've already done all that portion of the certification, and I can't get in. And Ed says, has anyone had success on Highmark's new portal rating an individual policy for 1/1/2014? Ed, I've not tried that subsidy calculator, but what you have to keep in mind is that Kaiser has one, Capital has one, Highmark has one, but they're estimators. They're not the true calculators, and I personally don't feel comfortable going to an estimator and giving a client information on what their subsidy would be and the actual premium would be based on that estimator. You know, that's the real issue. Sunny says, my user ID is the login created, but my FFM ID is a number that was assigned, which is another. So which one should I be putting on the app? Sunny, my understanding is that the FFM user ID is your login that you created for the portal, the Medicare Learning Network portal, and that your NPN is the actual 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-digit number. I will see if I can get more clarification on that. Writing that down. Dana says that she was successful creating an FFM user ID, but she's not had any confirmation of that because the site has been down. What to do? Unfortunately, Dana, what to do is just more waiting. Steven says the print function on FFM website doesn't work when I try to print my certificate. Also, when I view my certificate, there is a typo in my name. How do I change that? Steve, I do believe that there's a way to get back in and go to your user profile to change your name. As far as getting those certificates, if you email me your username and password for the Marketplace Learning Network, David Dang in our office has been very successful and very kind in going in and grabbing all of your certificates, creating a PDF, and emailing them to you. But again, I will check on, I would go in and check your user profile to see if you can change your name. If you can't, let me know. Abby says, are we allowed as agents to create flyers with our contact info for people to call us to get help with enrolling? Absolutely. You're able to advertise yourself as much as you want. You know, if you've done the certification, you are certified to sell within the marketplace. And Brandy says, what do you feel is the best time to forecast to our clients when we will have enough information to help them? Brandy, I tell you, I wish I knew that. I really thought by this week we would have more information and that we would have success in being able to get in. But I don't know. Some of the news coming out, especially the news now that says you have until February 14th before you'll be charged a penalty, kind of leads me to believe that it might be quite some time before the system is up. But at this point, I'm taking it day by day. We check every day, and you know, that's all I can say. Sean says, on some of the certificates, my NPN number is not listed. Does that matter? No, it doesn't, Sean. Some have them and some don't. Some of the certificates you don't actually even need for the carriers. The ones that have your NPN usually are the ones that the carriers want. Let's see. Those appear to be all the typed in questions. Let's see if I have any hands raised. I do not. It is, I don't know what time it is, to tell you the truth. I don't have my watch in front of me, but it appears to be that the questions have been exhausted, and we will reconvene next week. I will be getting my healthcare reform essentials out. That will be going out again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to include the Highmark commissions in that blast. And our next webinar is back at 9:30 next Thursday the 17th. So hopefully you'll have the opportunity to sign in next week, and, you know, again, let's cross our fingers that I have more information to share. As always, I truly thank you for your time, and again, we're going to sink or swim together, so hopefully we can swim. I will talk with you next week. Bye-bye.